In the news this week,
I tell us about Shakespeare's folio that was found in Saint-Omer, a city in the north of France.
Tess provides insight into the EU debate with some exclusive footage from the event itself.
And Ethan lets us know if there's any sunny spells ahead with the weather.
I'm Matthew Hudson.
And I'm Dave Kokoza, and this is KTV News.
Whilst a group of documentarists from KTV were filming in France over the winter break, they stumbled across a treasured artefact. Dave tells us more.
It's very clear that England and Saint-Omer have a very intertwined history, evidenced by the fact that one of Shakespeare's first folios was discovered right here. Remy, please tell me about the discovery of the first folio here.
So the discovery occurred last summer, in the preparation of the exhibition of last summer about English literature in our collection. And of course, dealing with English literature, we couldn't avoid talking about Shakespeare. But we didn't expect it. We hoped we had a French translation of the 19th century, but not a 17th first edition.
And you've mentioned, that it's one of the first ones. So how important is that discovery?
To be frank, for French, it perhaps wasn't that much important. But we knew that Shakespeareans are very keen of this kind of discovery because we don't have any more traces of Shakespeare handwritings. For that, the very first printed edition is the nearest testimony we have about his work. This first folio is one of the 233 testimony of the nearest to Shakespeare himself.
And you said that there is going to be an exhibition happening in
Yes.
the summer here?
Yes.
Tell me a bit about that, please.
Exactly. We had some contact with the Globe Theatre in London, and they asked us if it was possible to lend them our exemplary. I think there are 5 exemplary in the British Library, but they were already lent to other places, and so the Globe Theatre surprisingly has no exemplary. So our were very good opportunity for them to present one of the exemplary.
How do you get such a valuable object without destroying it or ruining it?
Oh yes, okay.
How do you transport this?
It's not that complicated. We have some kind of protocol, lots of paper to sign, etc. Of course, we insure it. And after that, it's professional who are accustomed to transport this kind of work of art, and there is special cases, etc. to be sure it will be in the best condition. And in the place where it's put in display, there are special cases, etc. So especially with temperature, moisture, etc. So everything has been checked.
How did the first folio arrive here in Saint-Omer?
Well, it's a long story and a very old one, because one of its specificities is that it's the only first folio which is still now in the same place he were in the 18th century. But we are sure that in 1733 it was in Saint-Omer's Jesuits College, English Jesuits College Library. It's not that surprising because Saint-Omer has been a kind of Catholic bastion against the Anglicanism and the Protestantism, since Saint-Omer stays in the Catholic area for a long time. So very early, in the beginning of the 16th century, an English Jesuits college has been built here and was very, very renowned. We still have here a very huge collection of English printed books from the 16th to 18th century. Here you have a very important and huge collection with very ancient books. I have already held in my hand some books which have known Charlemagne. So, 17th edition, even from Shakespeare, is a jewel amongst lots of others. So, of course, I was quite proud to put it online. But rare books are my quotidien. Yes, my specialty. So it's not that surprising.
What's the oldest book you have ever held?
Well, a full book, the oldest we have here and of which I have hold is end of the second half of the 9th century. So the end of Charlemagne's period. But we also have here some fragments, so little piece of books, much older, 6th century. So it's the oldest piece of book I have hold. Of course, you try to imagine who might have hold it. We have lots of French kings who came here. Perhaps they had contact with these books, and more recently I find some interesting books which Erasmus might have heard and read. So when you have such huge spirit, huge person, historical people of whom you can have kind of sharing some few part of their history, it's very, very emotive.
Wonderful. Remy, thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure.
You don't see much, but the library we were in is made from wood from the old original Abbey of Saint-Omer. It was an incredible afternoon overall.
Yes, it certainly looked that way.
Well, we are now going to go to Tess, who's been behind the scenes at the EU debate.
I'm Tess Bryant for KTV News at Keen's Lecture Theatre 1 with the Kent University's EU debate UK in or out. The next referendum is in 2017, where the UK, if you are over 18 and a resident, will decide whether or not to stay in the EU. The last referendum was in 1975, and of course, they decided to stay in. So now, listen to what they're going to say and make up your own mind.
Out of a set of crucial topics to assess, I will firstly focus on the matter of trade and economy, as there are quite rather evident reasons which emphasise the major advantages Britain get from remaining a part of the EU. The most evident being our economy would suffer tremendously if we quit.
Well, thank God for the European Union, they like to say. For without the European Union, ladies and gentlemen, we would be unsafe, we would be insecure, and we would be without any benefits.
The free movement of people benefits us as this university. We are the UK's European university. Without the free movement of particularly students who want to experience different cultures, that leaves us in higher education at a real big disadvantage. I enjoy speaking to my fellow students from, I'm Italian myself, but there are Italians, there are French, there are a lot of Spanish students, there are some from Norway, Finland, and it's really exciting to talk to them about their cultures, and it gives me such a enthusiasm to be able to talk and share mine as well. And I worry that if we did leave the EU, what would happen to this?
To sort of touch regarding trade that was mentioned earlier, the percentage of trade that is done between the UK and the European Union currently has dropped over the last decade from 55% to 45% and is projected to fall even lower than that.
The only way that we can regain control of our borders and tackle unsustainable demand for employment is if we voted to leave the European Union.
Who are you going to vote for in the 2017 referendum?
I'm going to vote to leave the EU.
Stay inside the EU.
Has this debate changed your mind?
It hasn't changed my mind, but it definitely informed me a lot of the... Because I wasn't really sure of the exact stats and stuff, so that helped a lot. I already wanted to stay in, and they just confirmed it. I think the other side, some of the stuff they were saying, it just didn't convince me, or it just seemed, I don't know, I didn't like the approach very much.
No, I was already very anti-EU from the outset.
And what would you say to someone who doesn't think they should vote?
You should always vote. It's deciding your future. This very vote is about the nature of our country for the next 50, 100 years. So form an opinion, read some news, read some information, go out and vote for what you think is right.
I would say definitely learn more about it. I know it's hard to encourage yourself to go to these things, but I do think it's worth it because the more informed you get, the better idea you'll have about who you're going to vote for, the more passionate you'll be about it. Just know more about it, I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. I was Tess Bryant at the Kent University EU debate.
So Dave, to clarify for the viewers at home, when will the EU vote actually take place?
Well, David Cameron hasn't set a date for the referendum yet. However, it's likely to be somewhere around June or July 2016. However, Could be 2017. We don't know for sure yet. Most important thing is that we actually go out and vote, because it's our generation that this is going to affect.
I couldn't agree more, Dave. Now over to Ethan for the weather.
The weather today is cloudy with a spot of rain and mainly wind. Tomorrow, however, we see a little bit of extra hope with some rays of sunshine coming through that cloud, but still not much better or much of an improvement. Wednesday, however, is very sunny all day, so whip out your picnic baskets, it's going to be a good one. Thursday, however, though, we're back to the sunny only a little bit, with rainy spells and cloud, and that will be for the rest of the week. I've been Ethan Bond, this is KTV News.
Thanks, Ethan.
For more news, be sure to pick up and inquire from different locations around campus, or tune in to CSR.
Lastly, we have a few trailers of upcoming events to share with you. Firstly, the long-anticipated Varsity.
Next week on KTV Sports, it's the clash of the South East Coast. The irresistible force of Canterbury Christchurch goes up against the immovable objects of the University of Kent, in a clash that will go down in history. As a part of the many matches that are happening this week, there are old scores to be settled in the pavilion. Scores like 1-1 and 3-0 and 0-0 decided on penalties that have happened in previous years. Who will win this year between the Falcons and the Chargers? Then the battle post in a game that can only be described as on this Sunday. And on Tuesday, the Giants and the Pavilion play host to the two men's rugby team, making sides up to interpretation. Then the two cricket teams will play together in a match against one another to see who wins that. Then the women's rugby team will play each other in a game of rugby to see who will be the rugby winners in rugby, for this year at least, and indeed at most. Keep watching this channel as we will be covering all the varsity all the time. Catch all the constantly happening varsity here. Catch all the all-important varsity happening here. Varsity all the time here. Varsity. It's almost impossible to keep track of it all, but your best chance is here. Thousands of hours of varsity, each more climactic than the last. Every match mattering to someone presumably. All the varsity here, all the time, forever. It will never end. Will it ever end? No, it's varsity! Probably will end, it's only about a week. Less than a week. Varsity! It will end, but then it'll be back next year. Soon. Watch it all here. All the time. Forever. Provided that forever is between the 13th and the 17th of February. Watch the ball! Like it's football! Netball! Golf balls! Rugby balls! Sorry, not golf balls, my mistake! And that's the varsity! Watch the varsity, 13th and the 17th of February, KTV Sports, football, golf, not golf, sorry! Netball, rugby, varsity, Nina Memi! We'll be doing sports against Christchurch! Christchurch, they're in Canterbury as well! We're on the hill, it's windy! Golf! So I keep saying golf, we're not playing golf! Netball, rugby, maybe volleyball if it's on the beach! Football, varsity, watch the varsity! It's gonna be great! 13th to the 17th of February! Varsity! Varsity!
And finally, the newly developed open mic show. That's all from us today.
I've been Dave Kokoza.
And I've been Matthew Hudson. Thank you for watching KTV News, and please take the time to listen to these messages from our sponsors.